Hello YouTube, so this is going to be the first lesson for the Al-Madinah series. I'm going to first go over the book itself, and then I'm going to show you how to write these words and all that type of thing. But before you watch this video, if you haven't seen my other videos, first you should watch the best book for learning Arabic, which is where I kind of really introduce the Al-Madinah book and explain why I think it's the best book for learning Arabic. And then I also have the video Al-Madinah Arabic course introduction, which I think you should watch as well. Now my son, he may come over and say hi, so just be prepared for that. So anyways, if I zoom out here for you, you can see what the first page looks like. I like to zoom in here so you can see kind of in detail all the markings. But it says here, that's the number 1 or واحد. الدرس الأول or الدرس الأول. الدرس الأول, which means dars means lesson, الأول means the first, so the first lesson. And then it says هذا. هذا. So as you probably already guessed, you should know the Arabic alphabet and the Arabic pronunciation already before studying this book. I made a series called the Arabic Script in Depth, so you should go and check that out. So the first one here, see if I can zoom in a little bit more for you. It says هذا بيت or هذا بيت. So هذا, it means this. So it says هذا بيت. هذا بيت. So there's a lot of things going on here. I'll try to break it down. So هذا means this. Beit means house. As you can see, the picture of a house. But it reads out هذا بيتون. So why is there this suffix un on bait? And you can see this little thing here. Let me get like a pencil so that I can, or something, tool to point with. But that means un. So this little thing here is called dhammatain. And it means un. And so when you add dhammatain to a word, it means the, what would that be, a definite article? A. Like in English we say, we have the articles the and or the and a. So you might say the house or a house, the house or a house. See the difference? So here it would say, if we translate this sentence, it would say this is a house. هذا بيت. This is a house. هذا بيت. هذا بيت. هذا بيت. And then moving on to the next exhibit here, it says هذا مسجد. هذا مسجد. هذا مسجد. So here again we have the same word هذا and same suffix un. So this is a, and what's this mean here? Masjid. If we look at the picture, you can see here is a minaret, so that means mosque. هذا مسجد. هذا مسجد. And so the word masjid is the Arabic word for mosque. And I want to break this down because I think this is really important to understanding the Arabic language and also understanding Islamic culture. So let's go back here. If we look at the word bait, this is found in most Semitic languages, and it's also found in Amharic in Ethiopia. So this is a fairly universal word. We go over here, and this word is a pretty special word too. The author was very particular in putting these two words right off the bat. Masjid comes from the Arabic word sajada. Sajada means to prostrate, or to put your head on the floor in a bowing position like Muslims do in prayer. So when we call it the masjid, that means that is the place where we make sujud, or that is the place where we prostrate. So that is an important word, whereas the word mosque in English comes from the French word for mosquito, meaning that they're a pest that needs to be eradicated. So mosque really has a horrible history and is really a derogatory word, like the N-word for black people, or like cracker for white people, or spick for Mexican people, and these different other sorts of racial slurs. However, the word mosque, most people do not know that history, and so many Muslims are completely unaware of that, the derogatory nature of that word. And I think even a lot of English speakers don't even realize the derogatory nature of that word unless they were to read up on it. And there's no alternative word really in English to refer to a mosque, so it's still commonly used despite its hidden negative connotation. Just like for people of a homosexual orientation, a slur in English, is fag. In British English, it means cigarette. But they're actually related in meaning, believe it or not. How? How is a cigarette and a homosexual individual related in meaning? How did that happen? The word fag comes from the word faggot. Faggot was a bundle of sticks that was meant to be burned. In other words, you called a gay person a faggot because they were supposed to be burned alive at the stake. Just like, a cigarette is a stick that you burn. So there is some shared meaning, unfortunately. And in the same way, the word mosque has this kind of hidden history that most people are unaware of. So if we move on to the next one here, so obviously a picture of a door. So this says, هذا باب. هذا باب. هذا باب. So bab is the Arabic word for door. So this is a door. هذا باب. هذا باب. And you can see here that we have an aleph to signify a long vowel, a long eh sound. هذا باب. So moving on. هذا كتاب. هذا كتاب. هذا كتاب. هذا كتاب. So here we also have an aleph to signify a long vowel. So this is a book. هذا كتاب. This is a book. هذا قلم. هذا قلم. هذا قلم. This is a pen. قلم means pen. This is a pen. هذا قلم. هذا مفتاح. هذا مفتاح. هذا مفتاح. هذا مفتاح. This is a key. And then you got an old skeleton key there. They still use the word to refer to modern, car keys and different stuff. هذا مفتاح. مفتاح. Here, هذا مكتب. هذا مكتب. هذا مكتب. This is a desk. And you can see here, it's a fascinating way how the Arabic language works. You see ka, ta, and ba. Ka, ta, ba. Here, kitab, for book. Same root letters. So maktab is the thing that you write on, and a kitab is a thing that's written. So هذا maktab, this is a desk. Moving on to the next one. هذا سرير. هذا سرير. هذا سرير. This is a bed. هذا كرسي. هذا كرسي. And I believe here this is supposed to have 2 dots underneath it. هذا كرسي. هذا كرسي. This is a chair. This is a chair. So going on to the next page. Starts up on the top here. Let's see if I can get this into focus. ما هذا؟ ما هذا? So now we're making a question. You put this particle ما in front of it. ما هذا? What is this? ما هذا? So what is this? So then if we go over, ما هذا? هذا بيت. What is this? This is a house. أهذا بيت? Now we have something else going on here. You see, now they put an alif with a hamza in front of a sentence. So هذا بيت, as we learned just earlier, means this is a house. You put a in front of it, that makes it into a question. So that's like a question particle, or question marker they also call. So أهذا بيت? نعم. هذا بيت. So is this a house? Yes. نعم. This is a house. So ما هذا? هذا بيت. أهذا بيت؟ نعم. هذا بيت. Moving on. ما هذا؟ هذا قميص. هذا قميص. ما هذا؟ هذا قميص. If you notice that I sometimes omit the or the dhammatain at the end of the word, and that's because typically, when people are speaking fusha, they'll leave that out, and people understand what they mean. It's not always necessary in speaking unless you just want to be, absolutely clear. But usually in the context, people know what you mean. So I'm going to try to keep it as formal as possible so that you guys are aware of all the rules. But I will tell you the exceptions and simplifications that people use when speaking. So ما هذا؟ هذا قميص. هذا قميص. And قميص, it means shirt. In classical Arabic, it referred to the shirts that were very long. They go all the way down to the ankle or to like mid-calf. So they go below the knees. So they're longer shirts that you see in the Arabs wear. But in the modern standard Arabic, it's often, you'll see some people use it to refer to any type of shirt, but still predominantly it's used to refer to the longer shirts. And you'll see this, these words that we've been going over so far are extremely common and widely used words. And so you see them in many other languages besides Arabic that have taken loan words from Arabic. So like Somali language, they say kitabka for book. They say kitab in Indonesian and Malaysian. and many languages. In Urdu, in Persian, they say kitab. It's very well known and familiar word to almost all Muslims across the world. And qamis is also fairly widely used in the Spanish language. It's camisa for shirt. For those of you who don't know, Spain was under Islamic rule for 800 years under the Moors. So 66% of Spanish words are actually Arabic loanwords, which you'll probably learn throughout this series, many words that are in common with Spanish. So, ما هذا؟ هذا قميص. أهذا سرير؟ لا، هذا كرسي. هذا كرسي. لا، هذا كرسي. So, yes, is this a bed? أهذا سرير؟ لا, no. هذا كرسي. And this one too, sometimes I even make the mistake, but you have to be a little bit careful with the pronunciation. It's supposed to be kursiyun. If you say kursiyun, like you elongate the u at the end, it may mean plural, like chairs, instead of just one chair. And we'll learn more about that later. But when I was first learning Arabic, and even sometimes I accidentally elongated a little bit too much, people thought I was referring to multiple chairs when I was just trying to say a chair. So you want to keep that un short. لا, هذا كرسي. هذا كرسي. The next, أهذا مفتاح؟ لا, هذا قلم. Is this a key? No, this is a pen. أهذا مفتاح؟ لا, هذا قلم. And to the side here, you can, they have some basic pictures like a shirt, house. So the next one, ما هذا? What's this? ما هذا؟ هذا نجم. This is a star. ما هذا؟ هذا نجم. And Najm is also a name. So like I have a friend, his name is Najm. So just keep that in mind too. And that's the end of that page. So if we go up here, now it says Tamreen. So this is like asking you questions, or Tamreen. It's asking you questions. And so this is where like a teacher would ask you a question and you would have to then answer and reply. Because this book was meant to be, taught by a teacher. So it says, ما هذا? What is this? And you look over at the picture. هذا مفتاح. So ما هذا? هذا كتاب. ما هذا؟ هذا قلم. ما هذا؟ هذا باب. ما هذا؟ هذا بيت. ما هذا؟ هذا كرسي. Moving on to the next page. It's still continuing with the same structure here, but now the question has changed. أهذا بيت؟ لا, هذا مسجد. أهذا مفتاح؟ لا, هذا قلم. أهذا قميص؟ نعم, هذا قميص. أهذا نجم؟ نعم, هذا نجم. And then when we go to the next page and the next section up here, it says اقرأ واكتب. اقرأ واكتب. And you'll see this throughout the book. So pay attention to these words. اقرأ واكتب, which means read and write. So first the teacher would have you read these sentences. So it says هذا مكتب. And as you noticed, Now here, all of the vowel markings are missing. So they expect you to be able to read it without the vowel markings, or what's known as tashkil in Arabic. So you'll notice you don't see any vowel markings and you don't see the dhammatain anymore. They just expect you to know that it's there by the sentence construction. So it goes هذا مكتب هذا سرير أهذا بيت هذا مسجد هذا قلم ما هذا هذا كرسي لا هذا مسجد ما هذا هذا مفتاح. And you'll notice here where it says like أهذا, is this a house? You know, أهذا بيت. I want you to pay important attention. Excuse me, I'm getting tongue-tied. Important attention to the inflection, or the tonation. You know, tone is something that is in all languages. And you know, Chinese and many of those related languages, Sino-Tibetan languages, are tonal, although not all of them are, but majority of them are tonal. So to give you an example, in Chinese you can say wo, 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 and they all have different meanings, and the only difference is the tone. Now English, many European languages, they aren't, quote, tonal languages, but they have intonation. Now intonation is where the whole sentence may carry a certain tone. So if I want to make a statement, I could say, he went to the store. If I want to make it into a question, I'd say, he went to the store. You see? See the difference there? You say a statement, he went to the store, and you make that a question, he went to the store, and the only difference that changed is your intonation. And the same thing exists in the Arabic language. So here, it would kind of sound funny if you just said, أهذا بيت, أهذا بيت. I mean, people would know what you mean.
The other toys.
Oh, see, there's my son. He's interrupting the video. Say hello.
No.
You want to learn Arabic?
Yes.
Okay. So they would usually say it أهذا بيت, and you can see there's a rising tone at the end of the sentence, just like English. So even in Arabic you can make a statement, and by changing the intonation turn it into a question. So you could say هذا مكتب, this is a desk, but you could say هذا مكتب, and they're going to know that you mean a question just because of the tone in your voice. And that's not explicitly covered in this book, so that's just kind of why I wanted to mention it on the side. So moving on, we have من هذا, من هذا, من هذا. So men means who. So who is this? من هذا, who is this? So if we go over to this picture, and you can see his tool there on his neck. من هذا, هذا طبيب. من هذا, هذا طبيب. So who is this? This is a doctor. من هذا, هذا ولد. من هذا, هذا ولد. من هذا, هذا ولد. So who is this? This is a boy. Who is this? This is a boy. So we move on over here. And if you haven't noticed already, these pictures are not culturally neutral. So they do reflect the Arabic culture, which is kind of all the more reason why you probably might want a teacher, because some of these are not, you're not going to get the connotation always. But this one says من هذا, هذا طلب. من هذا, هذا طلب. من هذا هذا طلب. And so طالب, it means student. And it's hard to tell by this picture because then, you know, American culture anyways, you know, a student, you usually have like a student uniform or like a backpack and, you know, maybe a lunchbox or, you know, something like that, to signify they're a student. But as you can see here, he's holding what looks like a briefcase. So like in the Arab society, and this, like I said, this book was specifically made for a university in Saudi Arabia, where the students there, they actually use kind of like these leather briefcases or bags to carry all their materials to school, any homework or, you know, various things like that. And from what I understand, the type of clothing for like the boys to school is they have to wear all white shirt. You can see his shirt here that goes, you know, like they wear long shirts. It's got to be white. That's like the uniform. And white pants, and they usually are wearing sandals because it's very hot. And then for the headgear, they're typically going to wear a smagh if they're in Saudi Arabia because that's their culture. The Arab cultures, they wear smagh, or they also call it kefia or kefia or kefia, which you see me wear in a couple of my other videos. The typical kind of red checkered scarf, but I don't think they have any specific color that they require in the schools, because I've seen, you know, pictures and videos and, you know, heard from, you know, Saudis who went to school in Saudi Arabia that you know, they don't really care. So usually they wear white or red. Those are the popular colors. And then moving on over here too, it's a little bit kind of hard to tell because, like I said, these are not culturally neutral. It says أهذا ولد لا هذا رجل. أهذا ولد لا هذا رجل. So is this a boy? No, this is a man. And he's kind of standing with his back towards you. So that would be like the back, you know, his back and the back view. That would be a small with what they call a aqal on the top, or the black band that holds it in place. So that would be a man. So هذا ولد لا هذا رجل. No, this is a man. And so keeps going here. ما هذا هذا مسجد. من هذا هذا تاجر. And we only have a picture of a mosque here, but what it's saying is, you know, what is this? This is a mosque. من هذا, who is this? هذا تاجر. I wish they had a picture, but anyways, تاجر, it means either a businessman or entrepreneur. So it can mean someone who just simply works in business, but it could also be like a business owner, someone that owns their own store, like a ma and pa type place, or even their own company. And it stems from the Arabic word tijara, which means business or commerce. And it says هذا كلب. هذا كلب. And there it's got a picture, and that's supposed to be a dog. So هذا كلب, this is a dog. Then it says in the next picture هذا كلب, and you can see what's that? هذا كلب لا هذا قط. لا هذا قط. So it says, no, this is a cat. Is that a dog? No, this is a cat. And I also want to make you familiar. there is a variation of this word, so I'm going to try my best to write it here for you. So another variation here is قطة. So this is لا هذا قط, or they would say لا هذا قطة. So قطة or قطة. So that is the two variations for cat. So they're asking you, is this a dog? No, this is a cat. And when you add this to the end of the word, usually signifies that it's feminine, and that may refer to the actual gender of the animal or person, or it just may be a grammatical gender. Probably have to ask if a native speaker who's watching could comment below on this, because I'm not sure. But I've seen these two variations, qit and qitta, and I'm not sure if qitta, if that's actually referring to that it's a female cat, or if they just use that for all cats in general. But I've seen both in Arabic books and books to learn Arabic, so I wanted to make you aware of both of them. And then the next one is هذا حمار. هذا حمار. And if you look at the picture, it's a picture of a donkey. هذا حمار. هذا حمار. This is a donkey. هذا حمار. لا. هذا حصان. هذا حصان. So, is this a donkey? No, this is a horse. وما هذا? And what's this? وما هذا? هذا جمل. هذا جمل. هذا جمل. So that would be a camel. This camel apparently has lost his head and his hooves, but that's supposed to be a camel. And just another variation too, we say وما هذا? هذا جمل. Another word that they use for camel in Arabic is ibl. Ibl. And I wish I would have included that in this book. Ibl is the more archaic and classical word, but jamal is also a word for camel, and that's the more modern word. So you have jamal and ibl, and they both mean camel. So you could say هذا جمل, or you could say هذا إبل. So moving up here, ما هذا? هذا ديك. ما هذا? هذا ديك. And if we look over at the picture, we got a rooster. So ما هذا? What's this? This is a rooster. هذا ديك. من هذا؟ هذا مدرسة. Or no, excuse me. هذا مدرس. هذا مدرس. من هذا؟ هذا مدرس. هذا مدرس. And if you noticed before, I wasn't rolling my R's, but I was doing more of a flap. And that's typically what Arabs do when they're speaking Fusha, and they trill or they roll the R when there is a this symbol over here, a shadda, which means whenever you see a shadda like that, that means that you are holding the consonant longer, and it will change the meaning of the word. So if there's a shadda present, it has to be pronounced, or people will think you are saying a different word. And it can change the meaning quite significantly. So it is very important. So هذا مدرس. مدرس. هذا مدرس. هذا مدرس. And here, if we look at the picture, there's a teacher teaching a classroom. And so if you notice, the teacher is actually more formally dressed. So he's wearing, over his shirt, he's wearing what's called a bisht. It's also called an abaya, but the more common word is bisht. And I have another video in that, I think the Arabic script in depth, where I was wearing that. And they're usually, commonly the ones you see like on TV or in the media is brown with like some gold trim on it. You might have seen that if you've seen like pictures or videos of Saudi Arabia. You also see it in the movie Lawrence of Arabia. He's wearing a white one with some gold trim. They also make them in black and in gray, different colors. But when you wear that with the smagh and, qamis, it's like wearing a suit in their culture. It's very formal. It's like a business suit. You're ready to go, man. You're the in style in the formal dress there. So that's what a teacher would wear. So هذا قميص لا هذا منديل. This one, the picture is kind of misleading. That is not a smagh. That's not a keffiyeh. It's not like the scarf they wear on their head. So he says, أهذا قميص? Is this a shirt? No. This is a handkerchief. Mindilun. So that's supposed to be a handkerchief. Why they put that in here right away, I'm not exactly sure. Handkerchief seems like something pretty outdated in American culture anyways. But I guess people still use them in Arab societies. I remember like my grandfather or great-grandfather might carry around a handkerchief, but nowadays people got Kleenexes, thank God. So, and then it says here, remember this is important, اقرأ واكتب. اقرأ واكتب. So read and write. So ما هذا؟ هذا قلم. من هذا؟ هذا طبيب. هذا كلب. لا هذا قط. وهذا قطة. أهذا حصان؟ لا هذا حمار. أهذا ولد؟ نعم. هذا كلب. هذا جمل. أهذا ديك؟ نعم. هذا منديل. من هذا؟ هذا الرجل. And let's go to the next. And that is the end of the first lesson. So we will end it there. So that ended on page 11. So you have the page numbers in the bottom in Arabic. Like, scoot this over here. We got page 10 at the bottom there. So that's the first lesson. I hope that my explanation and my pronunciation, everything like that, has been helpful for you to start learning, going over this first lesson. As you can see, this first lesson here, we're just going over very basic sentence construction. One thing I might have forgotten to mention is there's no word for is in the Arabic language. We go back to the first page. One second. Just says هذا بيت. So you're supposed to like assume or automatically know that it means this is a house. Is does not exist in the Arabic language. Just keep that in mind. There's no is or are or anything like, or am, like I am. Those things are cut out of the Arabic language. And that'll conclude the lesson for today. At least in the book here. And I can try to show you how to handwrite these different words here. And I'm going to do that either with pen or paper or on a whiteboard. I think I'm going to do it on pen and paper just so you can see what the more natural handwriting looks like in the handwriting process, because it is kind of hard for people new to Arabic to read handwriting, or maybe new to any language, I should say. So I'm going to try to give that experience to you guys. And I'm not going to use notebook paper because that's going to be hard to see. I'm just going to use like blank paper that I use for my printer. So I got a piece of scratch paper here to try to show you how to write some Arabic words. Let's see if I can adjust this in some way you can see it decently enough. Maybe I'll have to move the pencil like this, but let me zoom in here. So if we want to write ha, how do we write ha? Let's see if I can make it so you can see that. Put a dot up there. Sorry, my phone's ringing. So this is how you write ha, and sorry, my handwriting's a little bit sloppy just because I kind of have to write a little bit funny so you can see it. And then ha. And I'm writing big too, so that way you guys can see it easy enough. Hada bait. We gotta put the bommatain, remember? So hada baytun. Hada baytun. So that would be how you write that. And also, they write bommatain. The way we saw it there is actually a shortcut from the traditional Arabic. Trying to make it okay. There we go. So the way that they write it, like this, that's like a shortcut. Bommatain, when you have the ain at the end of it, it means that it's two, or that's the dual form in Arabic. So actually, if you write this in Arabic, see that? That's called a dhamma. Dhamma. So when you say dhammatain, you mean two dhammas. So the way it used to be written, it looked like this. There was two of them. It looks like 69 in English. It says dhammatain. And so you still see this in print, in books, and I see it every so often. So this symbol here, and this one, or this one here, this one's actually written better. That's called dhammatain, and they both mean the same thing, which is you add the suffix un to the word. So baytun, babun, masjidun, rajulun, mar'atun, etc., etc. So we also have, word like masjid. I don't know how well you can see that. Also may have bab. Also in the classical Arabic, like the very, very old Arabic, even pre-Islamic Arabic, they wouldn't even write, not only does this not have vowel marks, but they wouldn't even write the dots, like to signify a bat or jim. They would write completely without the dots, and then the native speaker, typically would know what word it is based on the context and everything like that, and be able to pronounce it just fine. So, it used to be pretty, I guess you could say rudimentary, but based on the structure of the language, native speakers, wouldn't really have a problem with that. And so they invented all the dots and vowel symbols for foreigners. In the early period, I'd say about the 7th and 8th century, they started to develop these dots and vowels for foreigners. As the, I guess you could say, Arabic or Islamic civilization broke out of the Arabian Peninsula, that's when they started to invent the vowel markings and the dots for foreigners or non-native speakers of the Arabic language. I think you're kind of getting the idea of it, so I'll write some more words. Like maybe this one is a little bit different. Trying to do it in a way where you can see it. But that's kelb, kelbun, like a dog, kelb. Like that, you know, calf is kind of a little bit trickier to write maybe at first, the calf. I remember when I first started learning how to like read and write Arabic, you know, like handwriting and stuff, the calf was a little bit tough for me. The ha, like in hada, was a little bit kind of confusing for me. Let's see what else we can go over. Maybe rajulun. So that's rajulun. Rajulun. So I hope that gives you guys kind of an idea on the handwriting. I'm not going to go and handwrite every single word. Most important thing is just try to get your handwriting to look as close as you can to the print. Then people are going to compliment you. Oh, you have such good handwriting and da 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 da. Because usually native speakers of Arabic, you know, some of them have really sloppy handwriting, even worse than this. And it's almost indecipherable sometimes. Like my main teacher in Islam, his name is Sheikh Dr. Samir Al-Nas. He's also a medical doctor. He has his own clinic. And so he's got that, you know, classic case of doctor's handwriting, which is very sloppy handwriting. If he writes a sentence down for me, it might take me a half an hour to decipher it. So yeah, and you'll notice with the native speakers, their handwriting is not always going to be as fancy or smooth, or, you know, however you want to say it. But I will try to give more and more handwriting examples and show you different variations of how things are written. One that I can give you quick with this one, whenever you see two dots, like this is ya, two dots for ya, you have two dots for ta. Sometimes they'll write that as a solid line, just as a shortcut. So bait. And if it's like, if we go over here to the word tha, see how there's three dots for tha, three tha? Sometimes they will make that into a triangle as a shortcut. And they also do the same thing for the letter sheen as well. So just be aware of those in handwriting. They're going to do that a lot as a shortcut. But yeah, I hope this handwriting examples kind of helped you out a little bit. Help you at least be able to read Arabic a little bit better, and to learn kind of how you should write the letters. And I'm hoping you're pausing the video and kind of trying to copy and write them down yourself. But that will be all for today.